So if I were to compare comedians to athletes, here's how I would do it. Patrice O'Neal is like Kobe. I'm gonna say it like that because every comedian, they say Patrice O'Neal's their favorite. He's your comedian's favorite comedian.
Your comedian's favorite comedian.
In the same way that
right.
Kobe Bryant is your athlete's favorite athlete.
Right.
Right? Because like the general populace is like, oh, Kobe Bryant's not in the top 10 NBA players of all time, but every single NBA player is like, no, Kobe's in the GOAT conversation.
Right.
So like a friggin' Patrice O'Neal would be like a friggin' Kobe, and you have like a Kevin Hart who's like a LeBron. You would have like a Eddie Murphy.
Dave Chappelle's like a freak. Him, Richard Pryor, they're kind of like the Michael Jordans.
Well, also Eddie Murphy was like the Michael Jordan because he set the standard like as far as like sold out like box office.
Yeah, but then
he had the highest ever, and then Kevin Hart broke that, so it's like an MJ LeBron thing. That's
but then with MJ, because the thing with him was he left,
this is a
came
super
back,
nuanced
and then
conversation.
right,
you have to understand comedy and fucking sports.
Yeah,
So
because this one's a little tough because with Eddie, he had Raw and Delirious, and then just left and went to movies, and it was one of those kind of what ifs. He never left.
Yeah.
How big could he have gotten? With MJ, we had a chance to because you do have that mystique of when he left the Bulls, man. Could they have won 8 straight? Could this and that? But then he came back. If Eddie had came back and then still was on top, then it kind of works. But I get exactly what you're saying.
He set the bar.
Right.
Like,
I get exactly what you're saying.
You know, and I look at like a Richard Pryor. You got to look at Richard Pryor kind of like before MJ, how you have like fucking
because him and George Carlin is like
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Yeah, because like those guys are like nice.
Right, because Pryor and Carlin is like Bird and
Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and then you have like a Eddie Murphy who's like an MJ, and then you have Kevin Hart who's like a LeBron, and you have a Patrice O'Neal who's like a Kobe. Like that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Because I similarly in comedy, I always looked at it like that, and then like, what kind of comedian do you want to be? Because if you want to be the purist kind of person and you want to try to talk about everything, that you want to be somebody who has the range to talk about anything, you want to be versatile, and you want to be cutthroat to where you don't walk on eggshells, you also have to understand what comes with that. You're not going to be somebody who's going to be able to do every single show because they're going to look at it like, oh, this guy's kind of controversial, we don't want to deal with that. You're going to end up like a Chappelle where anytime you grab the mic, headlines galore is going to come out and pick apart what you said. You got to roll with the punches.
Because I think he's been able to, he doesn't give a fuck. First of all, he doesn't give a fuck. So he's been able to just like, Netflix is the king of woke media.
Yeah. 60 mil.
And they're giving Chappelle money to make fun of trans people, which is wild, bro. So Chappelle got that fucking, he's bulletproof.
Right, and the beautiful thing about him was he walked away. Where it reached, 2004, he's at his peak, and then he was, you know what, this is starting to get a little weird.
Not about to do
and then he walks away, turns down 60 million, you end up getting it back, damn near 15 years later, and then you return, and there it is.
Well, I think when you listen to Chappelle talk, he's like he's a very principled man.
Right.
So like I don't know, when I look at other comedians, right? Specifically like black comedians, they'll lean into their blackness and they'll make it almost like black comedy. That's the best way I could explain it.
Okay.
Chappelle, he has parts of that, but then he'll speak in such a profound way that it speaks to everyone.
Right, so it's not only like you're only speaking to your community.
Exactly.
Right, because so he's able to have a white audience, he's able to have a black audience, he's able to have an Asian, where everybody feels like they're being seen.
Great example.
Right, I got you.
Great example, Joe Coy. Joe Coy he's a Filipino comedian. You know Joe Coy, right?
Yes.
He bombed at the Golden Globes recently. I think he got too much mainstream success now, so now he's doing the Golden Globes, and he's not funny for the regular people. He had a niche audience of Asians and Mexicans that thought he was funny. Because I watched Joe Coy, one of his specials, and I'm like, this is hilarious. It's funny because I'm Filipino.
Right.
So they blow up because they fit in that. Like Matt Rife, he's getting a lot of heat right now because apparently his special, I didn't see it, but apparently his special.
Yeah, I only seen clips. I didn't see the entire thing.
It wasn't funny, but he was trying to prove that yo, I'm an actual comedian. I'm not just a crowd work girls comedian. Yeah. Because Matt Rife, he was the women, good-looking guy, and the women and crowd work. That was his thing.
Right.
Right? And he was like, nah, I'm not going to be put in a box like that. And then sure enough, he did a special, and everyone's like, he's not that good.
Get back in your box.
Yeah, get back in your box. Go back to crowd work and doing that. Kevin Hart's another good example. Kevin Hart, I think, is really funny. He's in my top 5 comedians of all time. His newer stuff hasn't hit as much, and he tries to make it relatable because like what's too special? Was it Seriously Funny? And there was another one that were just, I watched them, couldn't stop laughing. His two most recent ones, the motherfucker's just way too rich to be relatable anymore.
Yeah.
And he's almost trying to do like a one-size-fits-all comedy. And doesn't hit in the same way that it used to. Like, I'll watch it, I'll giggle, I'll laugh. Some things are relatable, but like, it's not the same like gut laughing that I get from other.
Right, because in the beginning, and that's one of the things, and I remember we talked about it in like the very first, second, or third episode, where relatability, as you ascend, that's the biggest reason why people tend to hate on those who are at the top, because now you're not as relatable. In comedy, people want to feel like they're being heard or you're representing them in the midst of the special.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart, when he had cheated on his wife and everything of that nature, and people were anticipating for him to talk about it and everything, it never really hit and landed because it was still coming from somebody who's, you're at that level, you kind of can do it, and it makes sense why she would go and stay. And then because I had a chance to see Kevin Hart and Chris Rock live last year.
Oh, was that when Chappelle got attacked or Chris Rock got attacked?
After Rock had gotten slapped, and he didn't address it until until afterwards.
I saw funny. This was actually funny. I think off the cuff, Kevin Hart's hilarious.
Yeah.
This is when he gave him the goat, right? It was him and Chappelle, and he gave them a pet goat as a gift.
Oh, no. That was because they didn't do the
Kevin
tape
Hart
for
gave him a pet goat as a gift, and he said, "I'm naming him Will Smith."
Oh, that's hilarious. That's
So
hilarious.
I thought that was funny, but
yeah, so I had a chance to see them live, and Chris Rock still has he doesn't have like the belly laugh kind of thing anymore.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point where I don't want to say they're not capable, but they have a different sort of tone. Because I think you have to be a different level of funny when you're coming from nothing, versus when you finally made it. And there's those who can keep you captivated
those
while
jokes
watching.
don't pay your bill. When the jokes gotta pay your bills, you're fucking hilarious.
Right, because you work into where the rent's due.
Yeah, the second the jokes, like, you be like, man, I could bomb. I don't give a fuck. I live in my fucking sky mansion. It no longer, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, but that's where it comes down to if you want to be, and this is what Patrice talks about, where it's like that level of righteousness in comedy. So if you want to be like the purest of comedy, you have to be somebody who's willing to go into those uncomfortable locations despite what level that you're at.
So who's your favorite comedian? Like, who do you think is just the ones that'll get the funniest ones out of you?
Well, Patrice was always my number one. It would be Patrice, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, Bernie Mac, and then Bill Burr. Those have all those have been my because Bill Burr, the thing with Bill Burr is his take on like how life and everything, because it comes from an angry man's perspective of everything. And then when you listen to him talk about things, it's like, everybody is full of shit. Yeah. Like you can't act like your shit doesn't stink. I can't act like my shit doesn't stink. And I love that about Bill Burr because it keeps everybody leveled. And then you have the people like a Dave Attell, fucking hilarious individual. Somebody like what was his name? I forget he passed away early 90s. I forget his name.
I probably
Bill Hicks.
Yeah,
he had passed away early 90s. Hilarious dude. Richard Pryor, of course. Eddie Murphy, of course. All of those guys. My favorite thing about like with comedy is those who are able to tell a story, be real, and has that versatility to talk about anything and captivate an audience. Yeah. For me, that's like the comedian's comedian, because you're not somebody who's not only not afraid to bomb, but you're also willing and you're comfortable with the uncomfortability of the audience.
I think it's the authenticity too. Like, people sense it, and it's like funny from a real perspective.